Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to some of you, and peace out to the rest of you. Hit the share button because the message is more important than the messenger. I'm back to uploading audio to the Jet Black Air Lounge because I have time. With that being said, let me go ahead and get right to why I opened this one up. And you see the title. You and I were expected to be DeShawn Flood. DeShawn is that brother from Detroit who found out that all three of his wife's kids he thought were not his and belong to relatives. Now, he thought they were his kids and they're not, and they are still related to him because they were sired by someone related to him or someone's. I don't know if the three kids each had a different relative, which means that uh, the mom was even worse because if they don't have the same dad that's related to him, then it means that his wife was not um, cheating on him with one partner, but it meant that she was pretty much saying, I'm willing to sleep with everybody except my actual husband. And that I want the kids to belong to pretty much everybody but the husband. So he's the beta and I'll marry him, but he's related to the alpha. So I'll breed with their kids. But the point is that DeShawn Flood is the victim here. His wife is not the victim. Legally speaking, she has to be listed as the victim. I get that. It's how the system works. But I want you to understand the immorality of what she did and the morality of his crash out. I'm not sitting up and saying that what he did was legal. It's not. I understand that the system has to work as it's written. So officers didn't really have a choice but to take him in. But he should also take his trial to a jury to see how many jurors will decide it. So, goddamn mother cuss word what? See, a judge would have to pretty much get the witness statements to determine if it was him that did it or not. Once witnesses or video was brought that shows that he was the one that shot the mom and pistol whipped her, the judge is not allowed to let him go. And I'm not saying this as a legal expert. An attorney can say anything to override what I'm telling you. What I am saying is that I hope he gets a jury that just acquits him. Because though what he did was illegal, I also want something to send a message to these moms that mama's baby, daddy's maybe is okay, but it has a cost that comes with it. And that is that because it's mama's baby and it's daddy's baby, if mamas take advantage of that, then they can't just get away with it. And that's exactly what it is that feminism sought. This is what feminism wound up becoming. I know that the first wave was about equal rights for women. And that's, Islamically speaking, that's fine. That's one of the reasons why a feminist movement had to be exported, or rather, here, it had to be imported from the West. Or from where you are, it had to be exported from there to here. That was necessary because the rights that women don't have as Muslims have all been justified by the Westernicians. And the rights that they don't have also come with counterbalancing rights that men don't have. We don't have the right to be taken care of and supported by women when we are adults. That's not a right that we have. We can't. We're not allowed to rely on mom when we reach adulthood. We're not allowed. We may be allowed to rely on dad if it's necessary, depending on the financial system that the men build. But mom, no. Mom can come to us when we're adults, lean on us. If now it's within our means, but she could do that. We marry, we're responsible for the wife. We have to take care of the daughters till they marry. We have to look after the sons till they're grown. So there is all of this. Every right that women don't have is counterbalanced by some responsibility that they have and some right that men don't have. What a responsibility on the men. So I don't have a problem with what is actually legislated Islamically speaking in the revelation. I take issue with the fact that feminism had to be imported so that now you've got women sitting up and demanding two sets of rights and zero sets of responsibilities. And as I stated in the Jet Black Air Lounge earlier today in an audio that only the subscribers can see, only the frequent flyers can see. They're the only ones who can hear this post. But I said in the post that in my family we do not infantilize women, and we don't let somebody else tell us to do it. My daughters are not allowed to come to me and try to infantilize women. My wife is not allowed to. My mom can't do that with my dad. There's a right they don't have. There's a right that men don't have somewhere else as well, because God does not oppress. But I want y'all to look at DeShawn Flood's wife and understand that she did exactly what it was. Now, the difference is that we know about it, and we know about it because he retaliated. But her actions were, in fact, the goal beyond the beginning of feminism. Ever since it went past just women having certain rights that men have, if the women are, in fact, adults, once it went past that, once it went into double standards like women can hit men and it's okay, which Sha'Carri Richardson relied upon at that airport, which Christian Coleman was also brainwashed to believe. The whole point was paternity fraud as plan A, as the first goal. Now, that is not the end goal. The end goal actually is going to be for, just as Christian Coleman has been conditioned to accept this and defend her and respect her so-called right to hit him for whatever the case was, and apparently it was over headphones and not over any infidelity or anything like that. Just as he was conditioned, the goal is for them to get us men conditioned to accept being stepdads and raising kids other than our own. See, right now, DeShawn still has enough of his nature left in him to retaliate for the deception. The funny thing is that gorillas are very similar. People don't know this. See, male gorillas are known to commit infanticide if they take over a new batch. And one of the reasons is because they're not going to let the females hold up these other males' babies to avoid mating. They're not going to tolerate that. But if they happen upon a baby gorilla that's by him or herself in the wild, and everyone knows that this baby gorilla does not belong to that male, then that male will protect the baby. Because the male will volunteer to do it because there isn't one of the females holding the infant up like, nope, I can't mate with you because I got to take care of this baby. That's what's different about it. Female gorillas sometimes will let their babies get to an age where they can start to eat some of the vegetation and not just rely on the milk. And then they just run off because there's some other male they know about somewhere. They just run off and join that band just to screw this other male. But they'll leave their babies with the fathers. I hate it when I get these damn phone calls. So when they leave the babies with the fathers, the daddy gorillas will turn around and then raise these babies on their own. Now, these are their own babies anyway, but they'll do it without the mom's help. They'll protect orphaned baby gorillas and protect, defend them and raise them up. But that's because there's no deception involved. They react to the females using babies to cock block. They don't tolerate deception if there was a way to disclose this to them. It is the same thing with human beings to a certain extent. Men don't react with violence if they're told up front, I'm looking for someone to take care of these kids. And men may say, I'm not going to do it. But they don't react to violence. It takes deception or consistent insulting and insult after insult for men to react like that. But see, the first goal is for the women to be able to do stuff like this and the system not have any penalties in place for them. However, what they want in the end is for you and me to sit up and react to something like what DeShawn Flood's wife did to him, the way that Christian Coleman reacted to what Sha'Carri Richards did to him. Oh, it's no biggie. That's still my baby. I'm not going to break the family up over some DNA. No. Get out there and have a side baby and then tell your wife to take care of that side baby. It's your baby, but not hers. So what? Genetically speaking. You see how dumb that sounds? You can't get them to just go ahead and agree to something like this. You can't deceive them anyway. And if you can't deceive them, you're not going to get them to agree to it. So that's where the issue comes in. They want you to just accept it. It always comes down to them wanting you, and they want most of us, because they want most of us to accept that, because they already view most of us as deserving of being in the category of the duped and the cucked. Because that's the non-select. The non-select is the one with whom they don't want to reproduce. They certainly don't want to have their firstborn. They're sitting up here categorizing us on an invisible scoreboard as genetic superiors and inferiors. That's how the Westernicians are doing it. And they're making all decisions based on nothing other than that. But what they do believe in is that their paternity fraud and their poor punani management should be paid for by the men they don't value sexually. That's all it is. In other words, if they don't want to smash, they want you to pay. If you are invisible to them, then that's fine. You're out of these other two categories. But if you are not invisible to them, then they either want you to pay them to lay with someone else, or you're one of the few with whom they want to lay and they want some other guy to pay. The provider husband or the breeding bull. These ladies themselves don't see that as being the same thing. Many of them don't view the two as being the same. That's why it is they say the hot guy or the nice guy, like the two couldn't possibly be the same. Well, because in her mind they can't. Westernisha's been turned into a damn animal. That's why you've heard me say before, she's for the zoo and not just she for the streets. It's because they have been turned into animals. They've been turned into beasts in the ways that they pick them in. They're not picking them in like human beings. And DeShawn Flood just went through the pinnacle of that. Because his wife did this 3 times. Every single kid he thought was his. And there was a case in Jamaica like that. I think that man actually successfully ended the life of that wife, if I'm not mistaken, or baby mother. But DeShawn Flood, I mean, this was his wife. He married, from what I heard. And that's where the problem comes in. He committed to her. And how does she repay him? Every single time she conceived, it was somebody else's baby. First, I want you to understand from this that the lesson to us is what I just told you. Most of us, they believe, should be DeShawn Flood. The next thing they're shooting for after that, after they normalize it, is to get us to accept that. And every single paternity fraudstress or fraudist, every last one that knows they're doing this is participating in that agenda. First, to take normal men and slate them as the stepdads, and then to try to convince these normal men that their job is to be stepdads. So don't let them, don't even so much as respect what it is that they want as soon as what they want starts to be immoral, because they wouldn't tolerate the reverse. They won't tolerate polygyny, which doesn't involve maternity fraud, because you can't trick about that being her kid or not. Unless you switch a baby at the hospital. That's how they run. That's how they roll. And women will tell you that women are the main ones looking for a guy to already have attention from other attractive women. They'll tell you that. But they want polygyny to be illegal, which actually hurts them more than anybody else, because if polygyny is illegal, but men are not monogamous, then that means somebody's got to be a side chick and someone's got to be a wife. So all of them are okay as long as they get to be the wife and look down on the side chick. That means it's not really women's equality they want. It's just men's inequality. That's part of it right there. You can see that. So when they start talking about what they want and it's not even morally valid, and they wouldn't tolerate the reverse or any kind of give and take for that, don't even respect that, because in the end, their end game is not even always in their own best interest. It's just against yours. And that's why you keep hearing me say that it's war. Do you think it serves their interest for all of them to narrow down all male reproduction to some small percentage of men? You think that's in their best interest? Let me tell you why it's not in their best interest. It creates bottlenecks. You let them all have what they want this generation, and their grandchildren will be retarded, because their grandchildren will be kids of incest. This goes on for enough generations. You don't even have to have actual siblings mistakenly getting together later on. They could be second cousins, but they would genetically be the equivalent of siblings. It happened in, I've heard stories about it happening in a place called Palmetto, Louisiana. I don't know how true it is, but I heard rumors. Point is that if you start looking at situations like that, well, I mean, yeah, that's what winds up being the case. So after a while, second and third cousins are about the same as half siblings. First cousins are about the same as full-on siblings, genetically speaking. So you get these retarded offspring. And since it's a slow process, the retardation creeps up in a way that people become desensitized to it. So after a while, you don't even know what's retarded. They don't know they're retarded. The non-retarded amongst them don't realize that the retarded are retarded. Immune systems start failing. That's not what these sisters want, what these so-called sisters want, with the Westernicians that are white, Asian, Latin American. Also, what they want is not genetically conducive for human beings. That's the truth of the matter. And that's what it is that you have to keep in mind when they start trying to talk about evolutionary biology and evolutionary psychology, and trying to say that they can't change this and they can't change that. They want to give you the impression that these women that are equal to you and can control everything else cannot control, and that they have no control over what they even find attractive. No, they have a limited control over that. unlimited control, like what men have. Some things we can learn to like, other things we don't. There's a conditioning that we can go through that can change what it is that we like, and there are things that don't change. But what is it that you like that's genetically dangerous for every single generation after that, huh? What obsession do you have that a woman has to contain that's genetically dangerous for all generations coming along later on? You don't have any. What anti-moral tastes do you have that weren't taught to you from the outside, if you even have them in the first place? Even if what you want is an adventurous stripper type for a fling, even if that's what you want, if you married a woman that knew how to be a lady in front of others and knew how to be adventurous in private with you, you'd say, okay, that's great. Maybe you're polygynous. If you're polygynous and you married two different ones, two would probably be enough for you. You're not the beast you're not the beast and the animal that they pretend like you are just because you're a guy. But then you look at their mating preferences, and what are they? They're atavistic. They're worse than animalistic to a certain extent. And they want to sit up here and not only that, but they pretty much demand that the men they don't even like as human beings raise or cover the cost of raising the kids. I recommend that you go to the Jet Black Air Lounge and subscribe because of the confessions that I've got listed. But if I remember this, when I upload this video, I'll go ahead and upload one, just one confession, because I want y'all to pay attention to it. So you know that I'm not just making this up. As always, thank you for listening. Black heart, black mind, black out, assalamu alaikum, and black heterosexual non-select male power because they don't like it, and black patriarchy until extinction of judgment day. Thank you for flying with us here on Jet Black Air with a phrase. Jet black is also a verb. Keep jetting black with us till the wings and the wheels fall off. And I want to give shouts out to C. Peterson, Malika Bebane, and S. Jock for coming through on the Cash App. And I mean that in that order from the bottom of my black heart. Gender justice forever.